ready to rumble. joining us this evening here on the ISC Sports Network. It is a Clinton County matchup. It is a Hoosier Heartland Conference matchup, and it is going to be a battle on the hardwood tonight. It's the Clinton Prairie Gophers, the Rossville Hornets, live from the Hive in Rossville, Indiana. I'm Sean Walker, joined by Laura Archibald. Laura, these two teams have kind of had this date circled on the calendar for a while now, and we knew it was a collision course, right? These two were going to face off, both undefeated in conference play.
We did, and we've had this circled on our calendars for a while too. We knew all season long it was going to come down to this. Once Clinton Prairie won against Carroll, I think we were looking forward to this the rest of this season. We knew this was going to come down to Clinton Prairie versus Rossville for the conference championship and really county bragging rights.
Now, when you look at the conference standings, Rossville at 7-0, this is their last conference game here tonight against Clinton Prairie. Clinton Prairie still has 2 more conference games after this, so even in a victory, they could be an upset later. They could still put Rossville back in a tie situation or even give them back the conference if for some reason they were to lose tonight. But this matchup, I mean, it really is. Rossville, I think, has overachieved a little bit in some of the minds. They're the defending sectional champion, but they weren't necessarily sure what they were going to have. Had some core pieces, but they've really played well this season.
Absolutely. This really was supposed to be a rebuilding year for Rossville. I think they've surprised themselves. I know that they've surprised Coach Martin many times this year. Their record is really much better than anyone would have predicted, and they've certainly surpassed that rebuilding year sort of team.
They got a young freshman in Addison Gorbett who has played absolutely phenomenal this season for Coach Kathy Martin, and that has to help, obviously, when you're not expecting too much from a freshman and you come in and get solid play.
Yeah, she really has exceeded expectations. She has turned out to be really very solid in the middle for the Hornets, and really has just done a great job, not just on hitting, but on blocking as well. She does an amazing job in the middle of that floor.
For the Clinton Prairie Gophers, they went through a coaching change mid-season, and since then, they've kind of regained their stride a little bit. They had a couple of players rejoin the team, players that were on the squad last year. Once the coaching change happened, they asked to rejoin. They were welcomed back, and that was Claire Eckenbarger and Kaylee Wall. And that has really given Clinton Prairie kind of an edge here, getting a few qualified, quality players back on the floor.
It really has, and I think even the players that were already on the team have been re-energized. I think having that new coaching staff, really not new, I guess, coaching staff from the past back has given a new energy level to the Gophers, and they have certainly played better since they've had a change in the leadership of their coaching staff.
So Rossville being the red and white here this evening, Clinton Prairie in the black and white jerseys on the left side of your screen. And Laura, tonight we don't only just get a great volleyball matchup between two teams here for a conference championship potentially, but it's also a mental health awareness night. I know it's something that's near and dear to your heart. It's the company you work for, Healthy Communities of Clinton County. You guys put on this game. Tell us a little bit about what goes into these games tonight.
Yeah, so every year we pick this week in the 2 county matchup games of the week to highlight mental health. And we know that mental health's always been something that's been an issue, but COVID certainly exacerbated that and made it more of an issue. And so we really try to use these games as a way to raise awareness about mental health, decrease the stigma so that people are comfortable going to get help for their mental health issues.
1-1 early on, teams trade points going back and forth. Julia Stillwell will check in here for the Gophers. She'll get the serve. Wearing jersey number 4 is the senior. The libero for Rossville is Maylee Fort. She wears number 4. She's got the red jersey on. That one wide of the court. Point to the Gophers.
So part of that mental health game is both teams, you can see a lot of purple in the crowd. Both teams wore purple t-shirts for the warm-up. Coaching staff has them on. They say "You Matter" on the front, and they have the new 988 emergency crisis line on the back. and we'll talk about that more as the broadcast goes on.
Yeah, we've got some graphics to share with you as the night goes on, and we'll share some statistics with you as well, let you know that obviously if you're struggling, you're not alone. There's many people out there that need help, and the assistance is there, and we're going to help show you where you can find that tonight. Right now, the Gophers out to a 4-1 start here on the road at Rossville.
Rossville looks a little shook up here early, but once again, a young team with a lot of young players starting and not always used to this, level of competition and used to this stress of the county rivalry. Coach Martin will get them calmed down here.
That hit just a little strong that time from number 5, Demi Freeman. We'll call her name quite a bit tonight. It's Brooklyn Edmonds on the kill for Rossville. And again, Clinton Prairie up to a 5-point lead now.
Yeah, Demi Freeman, really, her and Marley Roberts are the big senior leaders for the Rossville Hornets. Demi had a nice milestone the other night. She broke a record for most kills in the season for the Hornets, and that was a big record, a hard record to break, and she was able to do that the other night.
Yeah, Demi Freeman, 294 kills on the season coming in. That actually ranks 30th in the state of Indiana. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think she broke a record by Addie Cooper, I believe, and that was a fairly long-standing record, so that was really impressive.
So timeout taken here by Rossville as they fall behind 7-1. Gives us an opportunity to talk about that 988 number. It's brand new. They just put it out. You said COVID's had a negative impact on mental health across the nation, and they have a new number now. It's 988. It went live in July, and it will, if you call it, 988 will connect you with the Suicide Prevention Lifeline.
Yeah, so it's still, the Suicide Prevention Lifeline number is still active, but this is just so much easier to remember. So instead of the whole, Suicide Prevention Lifeline number, 988, it's just like 911, but it's for mental health crisis. And way easier to remember, the 3-digit code to dial, and it's an initiative that's going to go across the entire nation, but Indiana was the first state in the nation to get it done. So kudos to Indiana and Mental Health America for all their work to get that done, and we want to raise the awareness so that people know that they can use the 988 number, and one of the neat things about it is they can call it or text it.
Here comes a serve from Demi Freeman. Rossville called the timeout, came out of the timeout and got the point. Big kill from Sydney Swan, and it's in back corner. Take another look at that one here on the replay. Good pass. And then a serve. Thought it was a service error. They call it in there. That one right in front of Coach Kathy Martin. She didn't really argue it too much, so she had a good vantage pointed on it as well.
It was at least close enough. They should have tried, apparently.
Set from Abby Swan. They go middle that time to Claire Eckenbarger. Here's the freshman in Corbett, wears number 10 for Rossville. That's some good size for a freshman as well. Nice height.
And good mobility. She really moves along the net well. It makes her a really great middle blocker.
Comes another look at this attempted kill here from Sydney Swan. Just hit it right into the net. Gophers just have to send this across. Roberts on the reset. Big swing in the middle there by number 11, Riley Longnecker. At the end of the net, point to the Gophers. So now 10-3 your score here in game number 1. Are you surprised at all at the start right now? 7-point lead?
I am a little bit surprised. I thought that Rossville with the home court advantage would come out a little more on fire than they have.
Sydney Swan with another big kill. Now 11-3. Swan gets a good swing on that one. We've seen her go down the line a lot this year, and tonight she's been cross-court.
She has, and it's been effective, so as long as it's working, she might as well do it.
That serve a little too long. It gives the point back to the Hornets, trailing 12-4 here in game one. This Hornets squad 16-10 on the season, 7-0 in conference play. You know, we talked earlier about Freeman being number 30 in the state in attacking with kills. She's also 42nd in the state in aces.
That was a beautiful block by Gorbett there, the freshman.
Good timing. See it as we get back to live action here. That serve comes across, and point for the Hornets as they creep back in now, trailing by just 6.
Seeing them kind of settle in here.
You know, one benefit that these Hornets had this season coming in, Laura, was a senior leader on the floor in Mallory Roberts.
Yeah, Marley is a great.
I'm sorry.
She's a great setter. She's a 4-year starter for them, and she is a floor general. And you know, she had an injury earlier in the season. They had her. She was gone for a couple of games, and it was really made a difference for them. And you can tell a difference when Marley's not on the floor. She is absolutely an amazing setter. Probably one of the underranked players in our area, to be honest. She does a great job for Rossville, but she's a quiet player. She's not one to, you know, draw a lot of attention to herself, but she does a good job of distributing the ball to multiple players, and she's just very steadfast. Marley Roberts does an excellent job for the Hornets and has done so for the last 4 years.
That service error gives a point back to the Hornets. 13-8 now here in game number one. You talked about the shirts, Laura. It's something that you guys do, whether it's volleyball or basketball season. You always pass out the shirts, and you usually pick a different saying each time too. And you guys went with "You Matter" this time.
Yeah, we did. Usually the Youth Rise Youth Leadership Council adolescents pick the shirt and they design the shirts, and so we want their input in that. Mental health, something that they pick as one of their topics to work on, and this year was no different. And "You Matter" is something that we want every single person to know. Everybody matters to somebody, and it's all about connections. And between the games, it wasn't on the broadcast, but between the games they did a presentation, and it was all about connections and how you mattering to one person can be the difference, and how if one person can reach out, sometimes that's all it takes to make a difference. And so we want everybody to know that you matter to somebody, and never to make a permanent decision to a temporary problem.
For sure. Thank you for understanding the question I was trying to ask, is how do you come up with what it's going to be? And that's cool for me to learn that your Youth Rise kids help design the shirts and come up with what the saying's going to be that year.
Yep, they do. They do a good job. You know, they're a lot more creative than I am.
Big swing by Freeman. That one just long. Give the point to the Gophers. Slow call there. Wanted to make sure that it's time to think about that one. Gophers 7-point lead here in game number one.
I think if you're the Hornets, you just have to cut those unforced errors down there. There have just been way too many of them, and it's not just been one aspect of the game that's really hurt them. It's been errors in pretty much all areas, minus setting. They've had service errors, passing errors, hitting errors. So they just need to clean it up in general.
You know, you think Rossville has 9 points right now, but there's been 3 service errors from Clinton Prairie already in this game. That's 3 of those 9 points.
Exactly.
Able to find a hole in the zone there.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, Rossville's struggling here in game one.
They are. They just look really slow. And there's no reason for that. They had one defender up there. Brooklyn Edmonds was the only person up there to block. That means they had 5 defenders back, and somehow we find a big hole in the middle of the floor. It's just showing Rossville is just a step slow.
That one hit the ceiling that time, but ruled in favor of Rossville, so give them the point instead. 18-10 your score. Used to play at Clinton Prairie where literally the ceiling in Rossville right now is extremely high compared to Clinton Prairie's old gym.
It is, that's for sure. Beautiful up by the libero for Rossville.
So much so that we thought the point was scored.
Yes, they certainly did for Clinton Prairie, but Melee Thorpe was able to just get a flat hand under that and get that ball up.
Come this side to Freeman, the block there, but out of bounds as Freeman's able to swing through the block. What do you like about this play here, Laura?
Well, Marley's a smart hitter. She sees that those blockers are way early. They're on their way down, and she just used them. And that's your experience.
18-12 now as the home team starting to claw back into this one, trailing by 6. Obviously, you're good friends with Coach Kathy Martin. You get to see her on a daily basis. Take us to the sideline right now. They've come out to a little bit of a slow start. Is Kathy a fiery coach by chance, or is she more of a laid-back, motivational coach?
She's more laid-back, motivational. She can get fiery, don't get me wrong, but she's more one to let them fight their way out of it. She, especially this team, they've proven that they can get themselves out of a hole. Probably was a little bit more fiery in the beginning because they were young and needed that motivation. Now that might get her fired up right there, letting the ball hit the floor, but she's more one to keep a calm head and then discuss it in a timeout or between games.
Julia Stillwell has served really well tonight.
Yeah,
she's the one that kind of got him going and built this lead.
Yeah, she's a solid senior leader. She definitely knows her role on this team and does it well. She's a definite spark off the bench for the Gophers.
Looking ahead, these Rossville Hornets have just a couple of games left on their schedule, but it is a tough finishing schedule for Rossville.
Actually, Coach Martin and I were talking about this last night. They end their season as tough as they possibly can. They finish out with, I believe, Tipton, Faith, and Catholic.
They do. Tipton 17-6 on the season. Faith Christian 22-4. Lafayette Central Catholic 16-8. And they're the defending state champions as well.
And their record doesn't really say it all because they play such a tough schedule.
22-12. Look at the heat put on this one.
That is a beautiful hit by Sydney Swan.
Do you like how she's reading and changing things up? She was going cross court. That was more towards the line that time.
I like how they're moving around, have her hitting out of the outside, then one out of the middle. That's a nice way to keep the offense varied. I like that.
Brooklyn Edmonds that time, the 5'10 junior with the kill. Substitution takes place as number 9, Ava Burkle, comes out.
And you notice Rossville, a lot of freshmen in this rotation. I mean, they really put a lot of freshmen in and out of the game.
I believe that was Elise Oakes, number 6, that checked in to serve. Could be 5, tough to see from here. (23-13), 2 points away from coming into the Hive and stealing game number 1. This one too strong from Avon Wilson. Another service error on the Gophers. If there's been an Achilles heel, it's kind of been that. They've given 4 or 5 points now to Rossville.
They have, but they've been serving aggressively. You'll take some errors if you're serving aggressively. So I think if you're Coach Swan, you're probably not too upset with that.
The other night as I was getting ready to go to sleep, clicked over to ESPN on the streaming app, and I was trying to service error goes into the net. Trying to find some sporting event just to watch as I was going to sleep, and literally all that was on was soccer and volleyball, and I wasn't watching soccer, so I started putting on college volleyball. Those girls can flat out play.
Yes, they can. It's a whole different level of ball.
6'3", 6'4" girls must grow on trees in other states because it was amazing to see the height. 24-16 now.
I encourage people. Purdue has an amazing volleyball team.
They really do.
It's a fun atmosphere. It's a great time. Tickets are not expensive. If you are a sports fan at all, go catch a Purdue volleyball game. It is a good time. Inexpensive, local. Support your Boilermaker volleyball team. It's something everybody should go to and at least try once.
How about that little tip there from Marley Roberts? What a smart play.
Smart veteran player.
Good hustle to keep it alive. Rossville stays alive momentarily. Wall on the set. That one pushed across by Abby Swan. And there's Gorbett again. Rossville not going away without a fight here at the end of game one. What's this?
And once again, Gorbett. I mean, you just can't say enough. I mean, look at that presence. I mean, not just blocking it right back down on the side of the court. I mean, she put that in a hole. Her blocking for a freshman never ceases to amaze me.
Big hit from Claire Eckenbarger, and that's going to do it for game number one here from Rossville. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, game two and more on our mental health night, brought to us by Healthy Communities of Clinton County.
Many communities in rural America are often overlooked as underserved. These communities are being left behind due to lack of internet access. Prairie Telecommunications provides rural broadband services and technology and is growing their presence in north central Indiana. Because every community deserves infrastructure and beyond. To learn more, contact us today.
Whether in Tipton or Clinton County, Encompass Credit Union, community-minded just like you. At Encompass, personal member service and convenient technology go hand in hand in making your financial experience effortless. Encompass Credit Union takes part in many of the things that make our communities special, keeping your money working right here. Encompass strives to support the local community by sponsoring sports teams, community groups, and school events. Encompass Credit Union in Tipton and Frankfort, community-minded just like you.
I brought you a present. A book.
Follow the adventures of the Ardente Dental team as they fight cavities, gum disease, and create beautiful, healthy smiles.
Inconceivable!
Hello, my name is Dr. Snyder. You cause cavities. Prepare to die.
Inconceivable!
To make your smile look straight and fine, our braces per month are just $1.99.
Inconceivable!
You keep using that word, I do not think it means what you think it means.
Have fun at Ardente Dental.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC, local lives here.
Welcome you back here to the Hive at Rossville High School. Tonight, game number one, 25-18 was the score, the final of that one. Just a reminder, tonight is a mental health awareness night. I want to make sure you know you are not alone. 1 in 5 individuals in the U.S. experience mental illness at some point in their lifetime. It is okay to not be okay. Reach out for help. Talk to a friend, family member, a support person, group, or healthcare professional. Look at some of those stats on the screen, Laura. Those are just mind-boggling. But it shows you you're not alone, and there's a lot of resources out there where you can get help.
Yeah, it really is true. I mean, it is mind-boggling to see those statistics. And I love the one with the United States. And it just shows that this isn't a local problem. This isn't a problem that's in our state. This is a problem that's nationwide. It's really worldwide. And COVID didn't make it any better, that's for sure. And so it's really important that people know they just need to reach out to somebody.
Game number 2 starts out just the way game number 1 did. Point for the Gophers. Good pass from Kaylee Wall, and they go to Abby Swan, who's starting to stretch her hitting chops a little bit as the seasons progress, and they've allowed her to get out of that setter role completely.
Yeah, I was talking about that the other night. On any other team, she probably wouldn't be a setter. She would just hit all the time. She is a great setter, don't get me wrong, but she's not a natural setter. But she's the best setter they have for Clinton Prairie, so she gets put in that role. But she is absolutely a great hitter, and she does a good job when she is on the front row of hitting.
Well, you and I, we got to see the Gophers early on this season. One of the things that we noticed right away is it was Sydney. And if you could get blockers or take her out of the rotation in some way, or she ended up in the back row, the Gophers struggled at times.
They did. Certainly getting Claire back has helped that a lot. It's given them another offensive option. I think the other thing that's helped is once Coach Swan came on board is getting Abby Swan into the offense and not having her set all the way around. I like her hitting on the front row, and them running a 6-2 instead of a 5-1 has been really very, very helpful to their offense.
Oh, they called the Gophers into the net here, so take the point away from Clinton Prairie. Point will actually go to the other side of Rossville. Break there for the Hornets. And the student section lets them know you can't do that.
In case they didn't know, right?
Little punch across that time. Number 11's Caitlin Beck for the Gophers. Big swing, Sydney Swan. She's on fire tonight.
She is. It's her senior year. Like I said, probable conference at stake here. Definitely county bragging rights at stake. She's a senior. She knows what she wants. She's going to take this into her own hands if she has to.
If I remember correctly, it was 2 years ago on this floor that Sydney dove and ended up needing stitches in her chin. Was that her eye or somewhere?
Yep.
But she came back. She played. Just kind of shows you the toughness.
Yep, she is tough. That is for sure. I was thinking back on game 1, and looking at this score, 18-25, certainly didn't even seem that close to me, Sean. I think the Hornets are playing better here in game 2, but so far, really, Clinton Prairie has just outplayed Rossville in pretty much every facet of the game.
You almost feel like the momentum's on one side of the floor right now, and it looks like the Gophers are having fun. They're attacking, they're aggressive, and on the other side, Rossville just a little out of sorts for some reason tonight.
They look young tonight, and they haven't really looked young this season. It's kind of surprising to me, to be honest. This far into the season, they're playing how I expected them to play early on. It's interesting.
Number 1, Courtney Huffman checks in. She'll serve for Rossville. Momentarily is that one in for the Gophers, and they retake a 2-point lead. Stillwell checks out. Gophers, the defending sectional the Rossville Hornets, the defending sectional champions. They defeated Clinton Prairie last year to win that sectional championship. This one a little too strong.
They did, but Rossville lost a lot of offense. They lost really 4 very solid hitters. They had a great, diverse offense last year and graduated 4 hitters. So like I said, this is supposed to be a rebuilding year for them. For them to have this record is never where anyone thought they would be at this point in the season.
And really, as you get another look at that replay there, great effort by both squads. Maylee Thorpe now on the serve, and you look at the sectional 54. It's hosted at Rossville. You've got Faith Christian in there. You've got Rossville in there. Now, depending how the draw goes, the team with the next best winning record is Clinton Central.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is out there for Faith or Rossville to win, for sure. And, you know, it's going to be interesting. They play here at the end of the season and then turn around right again in its sectional time. So, depending on how that draw goes, it could get interesting.
But Kathy Martin, she's no stranger to losing a game in the regular season and turning around and beating that team a couple weeks later. That's what she did with Clinton Prairie last year.
Absolutely. She's very strategic, and she's not, you know, she's not stupid. She knows that the ultimate goal is sectional. The ultimate goal isn't the regular season game. She's not going to show you all the guns in her arsenal during the regular season game when she's got you in her sectional.
We were looking at the coaching staff of Rossville. So we get another look at this replay here. Freeman put a little heat on it, and then right there at the net was Brooklyn Edmonds. But you talk about Kathy Martin and her assistant coach and Lori Wainscott, who was Lori Grimes back in the day. Lori played at Purdue. Both her and Kathy played at Clinton Prairie. They come from the Connie Garrett coaching tree.
Yes, and I'm sure Clinton Prairie would love to have them coaching there too, and not for the county rivals. So interesting that they both ended up in Rossville. Kathy even has kids in the Clinton Prairie district, but Lori does have kids in the Rossville school district.
10-7, you saw the ace there a moment ago from Abby Swan. Sends this one across, and Rossville struggles with it as well, but they do get it over. Hailey Wilson.
That's what Rossville's done really well this year. It's just been scrappy, taking the ball to teams and letting them eventually make their errors. The difference tonight is Clinton Prairie's just not making unforced errors.
This shows you how dangerous Sydney can be, as this one's from the attack line, coming from the back row. It's Kylan Bogan, number 13 on the floor for Rossville. They attacked her on the kill a moment ago and come right back on the serve. Now 12-7, Clinton Prairie.
Abby Swan has been serving very well tonight. She's always a great server for Prairie, but she has served excellent tonight.
And again, another ace. They push that lead back out to 6, and we get another timeout. The Gophers seem in tune and fired up tonight here from the Hive. They have a 6-point lead here in game number 1. Again, tonight's broadcast brought to us by our friends at Healthy Communities of Clinton County. I want to make sure that we talk about 988 again. It's America's first 3-digit mental health crisis line. So tell us about this, Laura. You pick up the phone, you dial 988 just like you would 911 for an emergency, or 411 for information, 811 to call in your locates for your lines. But 988 is there for mental health, and it connects you right to the suicide prevention lifeline.
It does. So there's legislation that there will be a 3-digit emergency line for mental health in all states. Indiana was the absolute first in the nation to get it done. So that's something for us to brag about. Indiana's not first in many things. So we were the first ones to get it done, and we're really proud of that. There was a lot of hard work went into that. One of the other things that's really neat about our 988 number, our 3-digit code, instead of it just being a call line, it's also a text line, and most of the other states aren't planning to do that. So we're really proud of that. That was one of the things that went into that, was really thinking about adolescents and teenagers, and we all know how much they hate to talk to people. They only like to text, and so meeting adolescents where they are and wanting them to feel comfortable to get help, and being able to do that by texting the number as well as calling 988.
That's awesome, because I was going to ask you that earlier in some of the literature I was reading about it, is can you text the number? It was one of the questions.
you can text the number. I mean, that really, some people just don't like to talk on the phone. You know, you have teenagers just like me, and they'll send you 10-page text over talking to you any day of the week. So
unless they want something.
Yeah, that's true. You know, and they love to text and they hate to talk. And so we wanted to be able to have something that adolescents were comfortable using, and teenagers like to text. So making sure that they could text this number and line was important. The other thing is some phones and some phone plans have unlimited texting but not unlimited calling. And
good point.
We wanted people to be able to text no matter what. They may be out of minutes for calling, but they can still text. And so that's the other reason we wanted it to have texting option for the 988 number.
15-8, Julia Stillwell checks back in here for the Gophers. She's had a great serving night so far for Clinton Prairie. Clinton Prairie as a team has had a great night.
They really have.
Caitlin Beck with a big swing.
I think the other interesting thing I would say about Clinton Prairie, this is the first time we've seen them use a consistent lineup the entire year.
I'm glad that you brought that up. And in the getting the game started and making sure we get all of our spots in, I wanted to ask you about that, because when we saw them at Frankfort last week, Coach Stacy Swan was not set on anything, and Clinton Prairie looked out of sorts that night, like they were trying to figure out where to go with the ball and who was where. And I'm with you. It looks like there is a solid rotation in place.
Yeah, I mean, it's and if you notice, the hesitation is gone. People know where they're going. They know who they're next to. I think she's figured it out, and she's got a lineup she's going to stick with, and she needs to. I mean, they're this deep in the season, sectionals in a couple weeks here. I mean, they need to have it figured out, and it looks like she's found her rotation. And judging by these scores, it's working. So
4 hits there from the Gophers, gives the serve back to the Rossville Hornets. Brooklyn Edmonds. Roberts will just send it across. We go to Swan. Swan, big swing. It's in again. She looks like she's getting a little more elevation, and her timing is really nice tonight on that swing and follow through.
She is just on a mission tonight. This is probably the best we've seen her look all season.
Corbett gets a good swing on that one. Haven Wilson there. Swan that time wide of the court, gives the ball back to the Hornets. In an 18-10 game here in game number 2. You know, we mentioned a young team, really, for Rossville. Obviously, you lose Roberts at the end of the year. You lose Freeman. But a lot of these other players are freshmen, sophomores, and juniors that will be coming back for Coach Kathy Martin. So you got to think the grass is still green on the other side of the fence when you turn the leaf next year.
It is, absolutely. I mean, it's exciting, and these young players are getting lots and lots of playing time. I mean, filling that setter position is going to be the biggest key for them. So, like I said earlier, Marley has been a 4-year starter for them.
Yeah.
And they've really struggled for all 4 years. Anytime that Marley's had an injury, they have struggled. And thank goodness she's been pretty healthy those 4 years, just missed a couple games here and there. But that's where they're going to struggle, is filling that setting position. And you know, they're going to really need to develop that over the summer. That's the position that's going to be the hardest for them to fill, because they have some really good offensive players and hitters. I mean, it'll be hard to fill Demi's spot, but they do have other good hitters. What they don't have is another setter.
Good hit there from the back row from Demi Freeman. Just as you started to talk about her, she makes the play and cuts the lead to 9.
Really, people underestimate how good of a defensive player Demi Freeman is. I mean, she is a great hitter, but she's also a great defensive player, and they'll miss her defense just as much as they miss her offense.
Courtney Huffman checked in to serve there for the Hornets. Sydney Swan gets another kill. back to a 10-point lead, 21-11. And I'm going to be honest, I really thought we were going to get a back-and-forth seesaw battle tonight. And right now it feels like Clinton Prairie is dominating.
I did too. I thought this was going to be a really tight matchup. I'm a little surprised at Rossville's level of play. This is not their normal level of play. They certainly are capable of playing at a much higher level. And I'm a little surprised at Clinton Prairie. This is by far the best and most consistent I've seen them play all year. And I do like this lineup. I think Coach Swan has found the magic lineup. So
kill there for Freeman to get the lead back to 8. Rossville's got to try to chip away at this one here. Sectional pairing show on October 2nd. That's Sunday. All the teams across Indiana will learn their fate. They use the lottery system, basically use the little ping pong balls and the machine to figure out who's playing who.
It shall be interesting. Like you said, the sectional at Rossville really probably is going to come down between Rossville and Faith, unless there's a sleeper in there that no one's looking to. I like that Clinton Central has the next best record. I think it gives them a chance to get several games in there depending on how the draw goes, and that would be good for the Bulldogs.
Freeman with another kill, and it's 4 straight points, excuse me, for Rossville. They cut it to 6. Good passing, big swing, and Wilson couldn't play that one. Thorpe on the serve. Junior defensive specialist, libero.
I remember watching Maylee play in the county tournament when she was an 8th grader. I called Kathy. I said, hey, you have a excellent, and I'd heard all about Brooklyn Edmonds. I'd heard all about Brooklyn Edmonds. I called her. I said, I know you have a good 8th grader, Brooklyn Edmonds, but do you know about this Maylee Thorpe? And Kathy's like, oh, I've heard a little bit about her. I said, hey, you got a libero coming up who's going to be fantastic. And I remember the first open gym of the summer, she called me, she said, you were right. And I said, I told you so.
22-16 as Avery Brooks checks in to serve here for the Gophers. Rossville rattled off 5 straight. They're asking for a call here.
Line judge called it in.
They're being overruled here. They'll give that one to the Gophers instead. 23-16 now. Brooks on the serve, just 2 points from taking game 2 of the Gophers. Good block at the net that time by Caitlin Beck. Freeman sends it across. The set, the push. The player into the net there. Not sure really what they called there. Too many hits? 4 hits?
4 hits.
So 23-17 now. Wilson will send it across for the Gophers. Thorpe to Roberts. They go to Edmonds, and that one's in. Great placement there from Brooklyn. 23-18. Again, another game that felt like it was way out of control in favor of the Gophers. And Rossville is able to like keep clawing their way back here. The final in game 1 was 25-18. We're on pace for that again.
And it just doesn't seem that close.
No.
It's interesting. I think maybe because Rossville hasn't dominated at any point.
That one long. Another win for the Gophers. They've come into the Hive. They've taken the first 2 games. We'll take a break. We'll be back with what could be a finale in game number 3 right after these messages.
Ball here. Harris scores. With 19 seconds remaining. Fake players, big boy. I'm telling you right now, that's awesome. I love it. That's the finish. You get a layup taken and an and one.
Finding affordable, quality reproductive health care isn't always easy. Did you know that there's now a family planning and reproductive health clinic in our area that is income-based? Services include Pap tests, breast cancer screenings, pregnancy tests, sexually transmitted infection and HIV testing, same-day birth control placement, filled prescriptions, and free condoms. Services are on an income-based sliding scale. Visit 1234 Rossville Avenue or call 659-6063 for more information or to schedule an appointment.
Hi, I'm Query.
And I'm Schultz.
And of course, we do the incredibly creatively and appropriately named Query and Schultz program every Monday on ISC Sports Network. Derek, it airs at what time?
7:30.
Okay, every Monday at 7:30. We're now on season number 2, and if history tells us anything, catch us now because you never know when they pull the plug on it.
How would you say that?
Because it's happened
That's not going
before.
to happen here. Comcast, Xfinity 81, ISCSportsNetwork.com, ISC Sports Network, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, so many places to watch Query and Schultz, 7:30 on Monday.
Welcome back to the Hive at Rossville High School, where the Clinton Prairie Gophers have taken games 1 and 2 by a score of 25-18. Just want to remind you, the Suicide Prevention Lifeline is out there, 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. You also have the brand new number. We've talked about it tonight a handful of times. You can call or text 988, and it will link you up with that Suicide Prevention Lifeline.
Yeah, the Suicide Prevention Lifeline number's not going away anytime soon, so you can use that number, but 988, it's so much easier to remember.
It really is, and I'm glad they did that. I know a few years ago, I think it was it Logic, or there was a musician that put out a song that the title of the song was the 1-800 number to the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, because he wanted to draw awareness to the number itself.
He did, because he wanted it to be catchy so that people would remember it like a jingle, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a great idea. I'll be honest, it helped me remember it, and I work with this all the time. But, you know, we don't dial phone numbers and remember them anymore. Everything's programmed in. So to remember numbers isn't easy. And so I just love the 988. So much easier, you know, and it's similar to 911. So you think, you know, emergency. So this is your emergency mental health line, 988.
I know, Lori, every year I enjoy doing these broadcasts. I always volunteer to come in here and work with you on these, unless they land on my wedding anniversary, and then I have to call in reserves. But these games, these nights, they're always near and dear to me. Not only just come out and see the games themselves, but to talk about mental health. You know, having people that were very close to being passed or make the wrong decisions in a split second that became permanent decisions. And so it's definitely important to me. I want to get the information out there as much as we can so that if people need help, they know there's resources, they can find them.
Yeah, it's why we do it, you know, and we do a lot of things about decreasing stigma. One of the things, you know, I've talked about in the past is, you know, people aren't embarrassed to have high blood pressure or diabetes, and you'll go to the doctor and get help for those things, and you're not embarrassed by it. But people still have a stigma attached to getting help for mental health, and we wanted people to know there's no reason to be embarrassed. There's no reason to have a stigma about it. 1 in 5 people suffer some sort of mental health crisis in their lifetime, and so, you know, there's no reason to be embarrassed by it. There's no reason not to get help. And the nice thing is if you are, there's so many ways to get anonymous help now. I was just thinking the other day is one of the benefits of COVID is you can do everything through telehealth and that includes support groups. There's Zoom support groups. You can be in a Zoom support group from California if you want, and you know no one. It's fine, and you're still having a support group, and you're still getting the mental health help you need, but it's all people from California. And so if you need that anonymous connection, then you have it. And so, take advantage of the terrible things that we had with COVID. Let's take advantage of something good from that, and know that you can get services. And I don't think you should be embarrassed by it, but if you are, you can get services and no one know.
Demi Freeman back to the service line. It's 6-2 here in game number 3. Gophers out to a 2-0 start here tonight at Rossville. And really, what is a surprise? I think Laura and I are both a little shocked at the first 2 games and the outcomes thus far. Obviously, still a lot of volleyball left to go. And it's such a momentum game that we've seen it turn on a dime as well. I've seen a team win the first 2 and lose the next 3.
Me too.
Multiple times.
This is probably the longest rally of the night.
Both teams fighting here into the season. Conference title potentially on the line. Great hustle
on Maley Thorpe.
Opportunity now for Rossville. They go to Corbett. Corbett attacks Wilson, gets the score. 6-3 now. Another good shot at the freshman. Watch this one, Laura.
Just caught Haven Wilson cheating in a little bit and went deep.
Is that one of the hardest to play when it's coming right at your face? It's kind of that in-between, is it not?
Absolutely.
6-4 your score now, Rossville. Fighting back in this one. They were down 6-1. They've rattled off 3 straight.
Nice to see a little fire in the Hornets. This is the first time, I think, tonight that we've kind of seen that little bit of killer instinct in them. So that's good.
Stillwell with the dig on the back line. They come back to Swan. And a nice diving effort over there by Bogan. Tried to punch that one across that time to the Gophers, and Evie Brooks could not get it done. Point for Clinton Prairie, or for Rossville, excuse me, and they now are within 1, and Clinton Prairie calls the timeout. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, this is the Rossville team that I'm used to seeing. Everything up, take it to the other team, and let them make the error. This is the Rossville team that Coach Martin's used to having. So this is how they usually play. I don't know where that team was the first 2 games, but this is their normal level of play.
See Coach Martin in that huddle, dialed in, focused, trying to keep it light and fun though, keep the girls in tune in this one.
Super important, especially when you have a young team, not for them to get too serious. The stress will get to them when they're young, so keeping it light, keeping it fun, especially when you have a lot of freshmen and sophomores on the floor, very important.
Clinton Prairie will break the huddle and come out of the timeout. It's Freeman back at the service line. Got Gorbett, Edmonds, and Roberts in that front row right now for Rossville. What do you got here, net?
I thought they were to miss that for a minute.
I heard you call it. We're all knotted up at 6. That's 5 straight for Rossville. Ever since I said we've seen teams come back. Lose the first 2, win the next 3. It can turn on a dime. It's turning.
Really thought they weren't going to call that net for a moment there. It was
These 2 teams will not face each other in postseason play. As Rossville's at 1A school this year, Clinton Prairie a 2A school. It's the only thing I hate about that is these 2 teams should play always.
in sectional.
I understand class sports. I get it. I used to not like it. I understand. It's been long enough now that I just let it go.
I have loved things and hate things about class sports. We talked about this the other night.
Big block in the front row there from the Gophers. Look like Swan and Beck. Get another look at it here. It's a great pass and a great swing, but the wall of the Gophers there. And that's something they were not doing early on in the season. You talked about that.
No, and Coach Swan, it's something that she is a very, very good at. It's one of her strengths as a coach is teaching blocking. And frankly, the Gophers were terrible at blocking at the beginning of the season. I don't know how else to say they were terrible. And now they are so much improved, and that's absolutely Coach Swan, 110%. You saw it improve in the first week she had the team. I think it's something they've obviously spent time on, and it makes all the difference. And it's the first line of defense, and obviously something they've worked very, very hard on.
Brooklyn Edmonds that time with a huge swing. Big point there to break the tie, 9-8 now with Rossville.
Nice to see Brooklyn in the offense. You know, she came off a huge shoulder surgery in the off season. Nice to see her back swinging that arm and looking like the Brooklyn of old.
She went down late last season, correct? And then
she did.
They had to find a way to win without her and still pulled out that sectional championship a year ago.
Yeah, they did. And you know, I think everybody was a little surprised when Brooklyn went down that they still were able to do that. But Michelle Rodke stepped up to the plate, a senior for them that was one of those key players that just stepped up into a role and did a good job for the Hornets in the postseason.
Got a great back and forth game here in game number 3.
This is what I expected all night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is what I thought it would be like all night long.
Evie Brooks checks out. Kaylee Wall in for the Gophers. Swan will just swing that one across. It was tipped, so give the point to the Gophers. We saw kind of a crazy ending to that Frankfort-Clinton Prairie game a week ago. It ended up being ruled after getting further clarification that the ball hit the net and was never touched by the Gophers.
That is what they are saying.
That's what was said.
Have never seen a ball in high school volleyball take a roll off of tape out into the crowd.
Right?
Yeah.
I know it was a tough defeat as the Hot Dogs were playing really well that night. They really were. But it gave Clinton Prairie the victory on the night. This program for the Gophers, a storied program. Laura, I know you were a part of it. Point here for Rossville. At one point in time, the Clinton Prairie Gophers, let's just do this. From 1975 to 1994, Clinton Prairie won 18 of the 20 possible sectionals.
Yeah, I mean, they really were a volleyball empire for a very long time. And, you know, Coach Connie Garrett was the queen. I mean, let's face it, she was. And they held the keys to the city, and no one could touch them for a very, very long time. And had there been class sports back then, who knows how many state championships there would have been.
Right. That's a great point. And, you know, we said 75 to 94, they won 18 of 20. Let's up that. From 75 to 2003, they won 24 of 29.
Yeah, I mean, that's
3 state championships, 1984, 1997, 1998. You know, when you look at Clinton Prairie as a whole, they have 6 state championships as a school, all from the girls' sports programs. Connie Garrett, 3 in volleyball, 1 in basketball. Randy Cooper, 2 in softball. Let's take a look at this one here. It looks like they ruled this in favor of the Gophers.
Oh.
No?
I don't know.
Into the net, maybe, was the call from across the side?
In on the replay, but I couldn't see the call. Maybe they called net. I don't know.
15-11 now. Timeout going to be taken here by Rossville, and I think it's a good one.
I do too.
Few points have gone the other way. I think Rossville's disagreed with a few calls here, but at the end of the day, you just got to suck it up and play, correct?
Absolutely, and don't let that ruin your momentum, because Rossville has played really well, and even a couple of those points they didn't play bad. They just didn't go their way, so don't let that ruin your momentum.
Another opportunity to talk about our mental health night here again, and I want to read this one. Over 20% of young people have a mental illness, and only 1 in 5 of them will get the help they need. Did you know Healthy Communities of Clinton County offers Changes, an intensive outpatient mental health program for adolescents in middle and high school? Call Tammy at 765-659-6063 for more information. And again, some great graphics on the screen.
Yeah, so that's a great program that we have, sponsored by the United Way. It's intensive outpatient. They go half of day, so they don't get too behind on their schoolwork. And we actually go and pick them up at school. They come to Healthy Communities and do Changes through Sycamore Springs via telehealth for half the day. And then at the end of the day, we take them back wherever they need to go. School, work, home, wherever that is.
17-11 now for the Gophers. They come out of the timeout and rattle off 2 points in a row. We've seen a lot of aces hit the floor tonight inbounds, and that's just really uncharacteristic of a Rossville squad.
Yeah, way too many, and especially one capable of playing this kind of defense. I mean,
good swing by Gorbett that stops the momentum here. It's a great set from Roberts to throw it across and kind of switch.
If you really think about it, every momentum changer, every time Rossville's needed a big stop, it's been Gorbett tonight.
Yeah.
It
she's
has
going to be
been
huge in the future. I mean,
she's
is already good this year.
Yeah.
Eckenbarger sends that one across for the Gophers. 18-12 now. Substitution takes place as Avery Brooks will come in and serve. I saw Eckenbarger and Wilson come out. I believe Beck came back in maybe on the front row. They moved too quick on me. I couldn't see it. Swing there for Freeman, and it's in. Good vision by Demi Freeman.
Beck is in.
There's another look at that one. Perfect placement. It'll be Maylee Thorpe now from the service line for Rossville, trying to keep them alive here in game number 3. Good set from Roberts. Big swing. There's a point. I love that as she went behind her that time. What a clever pass.
It was a great job by Marley. Blockers very late on that. Set up by the perfect set by Marley Roberts. The daughter of 2 Clinton Prairie alumnus.
It happens when you're in this county.
It does.
I was a Frankfort grad. My kids are going to Clinton Prairie.
Just seems like there's a lot of Clinton Prairie Gopher blood on the Rossville side of the net tonight.
Hey, when you said they dominated and had the keys of the city back in the day, you can see why you would want to have some of that bloodline on your side.
Absolutely.
18-15 as they are fighting their way back in this one are the Hornets. You hear the home crowd starting to get into this one.
Absolutely.
Freeman with a little tip that time to get it across. Thorpe looking for 4 straight here. And it's blocked at the net. Brooklyn
Beautiful.
Edmonds.
Nice job by Brooklyn.
Set, they try to go to Swan. She tries to dink it across. Tip it across. I call it a dink. You call it a tip.
Same thing.
Either way, that one got slammed back. Opportunity here for Rossville. Cut it to 1. And the block is in place that time. Abby Swan, Caitlin Beck. It's just rotation. The two defenders getting perfect placement.
I think that was all Abby Swan, but I'm telling you, a few weeks ago,
Wouldn't have happened.
it wouldn't have happened.
I know Sydney gets a lot of the accolades, and rightfully so, for the Clinton Prairie Gophers, but I truly feel like Abby may be the better all-around volleyball player, and that's saying a lot.
It is saying a lot. You know, she certainly doesn't get the credit she has due. I don't know if she's better than her sister, better at the same age, definitely a maybe. But she is a very, very good all-around volleyball player. I think she doesn't get the recognition because she does set in the back row.
Yeah.
If she wasn't setting, she would get a lot of back row attacks just like her sister does. You know, she'd be racking up those kills just like that. But because she takes on those setting duties, she doesn't get the accolades that her sister does. But she is a very strong player. I would definitely say I think she's a better server than Sydney, and I think she's a better blocker than Sydney. And
I mean, either way, it's a great problem to have.
Yeah, I mean,
those two on the team.
I don't even know how you choose. I mean, they're both just fantastic players.
That one just wide of the court, just long, 21-17. Bogan on the serve. Good hustle by Swan to keep that one alive. Freeman, tipped, diving effort, kept alive. Edmonds powers it through. Hornets not going away quietly here in game 3, trying to fight back.
They're not. I love how Brooklyn just takes that pass like, I want this, and you saw. I knew Marley was going to her because Brooklyn was have her going nowhere else. She demanded that ball.
21-19 now. Bogan with back-to-back points here for the Gophers. That pass, a little too long and into the net. 21-20, and we'll see a timeout here from Coach Stacy Swan. These things are getting awful close here in game 3.
And this is more like we thought it would be all night long. Certainly Rossville playing much better this game than they have in the first 2 games. This is what we thought it would be like all night long.
No, Laura, talking about mental health and kicking the stigma, and it's okay to not be okay and you matter. Those are all things that if I didn't sit here and say that I went through it myself recently, I'd be lying. And I did. And what was very cool is by doing these games with you, I was able to recognize it. I was able to go talk to a health professional. I was able to get some anxiety help that I was having. As outgoing as I am, and you know me, I can walk in anywhere and talk to just about anybody.
Yep.
I felt myself inside not wanting to do that anymore. I didn't want to go places where there were people. I didn't want to be around large crowds. If I had to talk to someone that I was unfamiliar with, I was drawn back by it. And I was able to work through it. I got the help I needed, and I'm back. I feel like I'm back.
You are back.
I'm back.
You are back. And you know what? I'm glad you shared that story. I mean, it's why we do these games. And if you were the only person that these games helped, it's worth doing. Every life is worth it. Every person. And I'm sure we've reached a lot more people. But, one person, one life, one story, that's what counts. And it's super important to us that people know that. We had the Sin Silence Packing display last week at Prairie Creek Park, and it's a suicide prevention display, and anybody who went to that can tell you how moving it was. And to see those stories on those backpacks, every single person represented there was somebody's brother or sister or daughter or mother or friend, and that's why we do what we do, because we want everybody to know that they matter, and it's important to reach out for help.
The Hornets came all the way back to tie it up briefly there at 21 before the service error gives the point back to the Gophers, and Stillwell checks in to serve here, the crucial point in game number 3.
And she's been solid for the Gophers tonight.
Great job at the net there blocking for the Hornets. They set the Swan. The Thorpe is there.
Beautiful dig.
This one just out. Up official overruling that call there, gives the point to the Hornets.
Definitely wide.
Ties things up at 22 apiece. Thorpe again, this one plays off the ceiling. Now they got to get it over. Great try there from the Hornets.
That was a great effort, and that is the Hornet team right there. That's their bread and butter, is effort and defense, and a great up by Bailey Thorpe there.
Wilson on the serve. Kind of catches in between. Thorpe there on the rescue. Rossville just keep it in play. Set it up. Eckenbarger can't get the kill there. Gorbett. Wilson on the dig. They go back to Swan. Cross court to Gorbett again, and that one long and not touched. Point for the Gophers. Match point now, 24-22. And another timeout. And you might as well. You can't take them with you, right?
Absolutely.
Coach Kathy Martin going to calm them down here. Trying to get Rossville to get a comeback here in game 3 and try to steal one. Force a game 4.
And that probably timeout just as much to ice the server for Clinton Prairie as it was to do anything with her team. Like you said, you can't take them with you. Might as well use them.
Haven Wilson, the libero's at the service line for Clinton Prairie. She's a junior on the squad. Clinton Prairie going to take the full timeout here to talk through what they're doing. One more point would seal things and take it in 3 straight matches tonight, which really, again, shocking to me. I was ready to strap in and go 5 tonight. I thought that's where we were at.
I thought every game would be like game 3 has been.
Since 2013, Clinton Prairie owns the edge by 1, 7-6 overall. And there it is, 25-22, as Clinton Prairie takes game number 3 and win tonight in 3 straight sets. Laura, again, I'm a little bit shocked. I really am. I thought that this was going to be a little closer tonight, and that's no knock on the Rossville Hornets. I think it's just how much better Clinton Prairie has gotten in the last couple of weeks.
I think it's a little combination of both. The way Rossville played in game 3 is how they're capable of playing. The first 2 games, we did not see the usual Rossville Hornets. They did not play good defense. They've made way too many unforced errors, and that is not typically the Rossville Hornets. So I think a little bit of was how Rossville played, but I do have to give credit to the Clinton Prairie Gophers. They seem to have found their lineup. This is the best we've seen them play all season long.
You see it there on your screen, 25-18, 25-18, 25-22. And the Gophers are celebrating tonight. What a well-fought battle. Great victory tonight for the Clinton Prairie Gophers. Hats off to them. Again, their upcoming schedule, they'll go to Crawfordsville on 10-3. They'll be at home versus Delphi. They'll be at home versus Clinton Central. We will have that one for you back here on the ISC Sports Network. For Rossville, they'll play against Tipton, Faith Christian, and Central Catholic to round out their season. Make sure you tune in Sunday. It's the sectional draw. You'll get to see where your team's going to be playing, who they will be matched up against. For Laura Archibald, for Elijah Mass, Justin Eckenbarger, and everyone behind the scenes here at ISC, I'm Sean Walker. We appreciate you tuning in again. Tonight, Clinton Prairie wins in 3 straight sets. Our broadcast brought to you by Healthy Communities of Clinton County. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you'll join us next time.
Here at Encompass Credit Union, we're the community-minded people who invest in our community by giving back in every way we can. Be community-minded. Shop, invest, and volunteer locally.
We're community-minded in all we try to do. Community-minded, just like you.
Encompass Credit Union, now serving you in Tipton, Frankfort, and Kokomo. Find us online at encompasscu.org.